The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
Everybody, and welcome to episode 122 of the 9 Years podcast. Nick Draper here, joined as always by Stuart Deakins for another hour's worth, roughly. We don't know, actually. We have no idea at this stage how long this podcast might go on for. It could be an hour, it could be 45 minutes, it could be an hour and a half. Who knows? Most people listening are probably hoping we get it over and done with quite quickly. But, sorry guys, it will take as long as it takes. And this week, a fair bit to talk about, really, because win on Saturday, home to Bristol Rovers. Late goal from Joe Pigott has perked us all up a bit, I think. And we're now looking into the final straight in League One this season. So this week we're going to be looking ahead to, I say we, pretty much Stu. Stu's pretty much done all the work this week. I'm just here to do this bit, and I'm just going to hand it all over to him. You do know that, Stu, don't you? I'm just introducing the show. I might do the game later, and that's it. It's all yours.
Sounds good. What could go wrong?
Let's not pull at that thread.
Yeah. Our best shows have been when we've actually not prepped with it. We just talk, you talk less rubbish and I talk more rubbish.
That's impossible.
I'm sure it's been achieved.
Possible. Possibly, yes. I have done very little prep this week. We've had all sorts, I'll tell you what, we feel like Kirsten, all sorts of technical problems again affecting our schedule this week. So Stu's fortunately been able to cobble together, Stu's put a hell of a lot of stats together. It's going to be fascinating reading when we get to it. But first of all, of course, we're going to have to talk about, I say going to have to talk like it's a bad thing. We'll be talking about the Bristol Rovers game, reviewing that. We'll also look ahead to, I suppose we've got two games coming, haven't we? We've got a Saturday game away at Peterborough and a Tuesday night game with Blackburn Rovers as well. But first, indeed, yes, that 1-0 win of Bristol Rovers. And Stu, I've been thinking about this a lot over the weekend. There's many things to talk about, as there always is. Lots of different facets to touch upon. First one I want to start with is substitutions. And simply put, I always think that we're in no danger of losing that game on Saturday. Personally, I don't think we were. I was expecting it to finish 0-0 by the end. But substitutions. I think substitutions, one manager got them right and one manager got them wrong. And it was Neil Ardley that got it right this week.
Yeah, it was. And it's something that Neil Ardley's not really had available to him. And what I mean by that, he's always had 3 subs available to him. But not really subs that he thinks can change games. And obviously with bringing Joe Pigott in, that's given us a bit of a threat from the bench. And I think that was the right decision to put him back on the bench. Maybe at the moment he's just more suited to being a super sub. And then obviously we can get him into the end of the season, give him a good break, and then get him fully fit, ready for the new season. But yeah, you're right. Obviously Forrester coming on made things happen, and Pigott gave us that little bit of attacking threat after Cody. Cody worked hard, but in the end he was a difference, and it was just that bit of target. He's not a target man, I think it's unfair to call him that, but he's a bigger lump than a lot of others are, and good header home. But yeah, I felt Bristol Rovers in the end, I think Daryl Clark sort of went for the draw. We went, I wouldn't say we went for the win, but we just tried to freshen it up. In the end, it worked for us, but very, very late.
Would Neil Ardley have made those substitutions had Bristol Rovers not taken off Liam Sercombe and Ellis Harrison? It felt like to me that was a green light for Neil to think, I can actually be attacking with my subs on this occasion, which was a nice change. And that seemed to give him the confidence to go for it.
Yeah.
It seemed to be that if Bristol Rovers were going to cause us any problems, it was going to be those two that were going to make it happen for them.
Yeah, I won't deny when I saw them go off, I was quite pleased. I think it did give us that little bit of a, I don't know, I wouldn't say a push or anything like that, but yeah, of course, when you take...
Gave us impetus, didn't it?
Yeah, when you take 2 players, and I'm sure Daryl Clark, they've got a decent enough squad at Bristol Rovers, so I'm sure Daryl Clark felt that the players he brought on were good enough to give the last sort of 10-15 minutes. But yeah, I don't think any of us were disappointed to see them 2 go off. We probably arguably created Bristol Rovers' best chance in the first half, wasn't it, when Sercombe sort of had a shot from the angle. But yeah, I just think, this season, he just hasn't had. You think about the season before, we've had Don Podon to bring on a bench, or stuff many times when we've had like Tom, last season Tom Elliott and Dom to bring on, and when you bring them on after 60 minutes, when Lyle and Tyron Barnett, bless his soul, had worn out the defence, they were priced as subs. We haven't really had that this year, and we maybe saw the benefit of just having that extra attacking sub, which gave us the impetus to push forward on Saturday.
Would it be out of the question to suggest Harry Forrester as man of the match? Because I think that was a 0-0 game until Forrester came on, and the only highlights really, I think, it was a very boring game. As I've been saying all season, we're such a dull team to watch. Harry Forrester, 20 minutes on the pitch, provided a bit of entertainment. Somebody that was willing to shoot from distance, right players, take players on, and then get in a position to deliver an outstanding cross for the goal.
Yeah, I don't think you can argue with that. I know sometimes people say, well, you've got to do a bit more than just 20 minutes, but you're right. No one else had done it.
I dream of 20 minutes.
No one else had done anything in 70 minutes. I think Jimmy had too. Who got the sponsors man of the match. I don't have a problem with that. I think Jimmy's deserved man of the matches. Other games have not got it. And by the way, it was his first visit to see Ivor in the middle bar for man of the match after the game, and
but that's got to be two personalities that are poles apart, aren't they?
Well, Jimmy promised that if he scores, I don't think he promised. I think Ivor railroaded him into it that if Jimmy scores another goal, he will go on stage and sing a song, but he'll sing it in French. So, Jimmy was very masterful. He did tell a funny story actually, because actually his name is Dajim. I think his actual French name is something like that. Najim or something. Yeah. And apparently when he went to Millwall... Go on.
Yeah, it's Najim. Not Nad Jim.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what a Nad Jim is.
Jim. Najim. But apparently when he went to Millwall, it had been training apparently within 10 minutes. Someone called him Jimmy. And it stuck. I'm surprised. Yeah. Who would you be to argue with the Millwall team of those days? But just... Very nice guy, very quiet, unassuming guy, but he got man of the match as sponsors. But yeah, you could argue that Forrest had done enough in 20 minutes to definitely warrant. And you know what, we needed that from him because we haven't had that sort of cameo appearance really since I remember him coming on against Gillingham, and that was beginning of the season enough when he first joined us.
Yeah, September, wasn't it?
It was. It feels like he joined us like quite late after the transfer window, but actually. He's going to be here most of the season, isn't he? I think that'd be his lot, sorry.
Yeah, I think he'd signed just before the Doncaster game, I think, if memory serves. So, yeah, I think it was towards the end of the August or summer transfer window. So that's why it feels a bit later than it actually possibly is. I mean, a lot of pressure has been put on our transfer windows, especially the January one, because of this search for a striker. And... well, I guess we have to run with 3 because that's all we've got, but it's enough to get us over the line, isn't it? I mean, our season is now just.
And the thing is, at the moment, actually, our form isn't that bad. Realistically, January is obviously paper over the cracks of the recent 4 defeats, and we said on Facebook Live the day before the game that we just couldn't afford to lose a game and have 5 straight defeats. I think that if you think about Uwe Rosler got sacked at Fleetwood for losing 6 continuous games. Continuous games? They wouldn't have been playing continuously, would they? No wonder he lost them if they all being played after each other, weren't they?
Successive games?
He's got no chance, has he? Do you know what I mean? 24-hour challenge.
Like some sort of gauntlet.
But yeah, he lost 6 games on a bounce, and you have to. Not like we obviously would sack Neil after 6 defeats, but it definitely makes a decision, doesn't it? But I think we couldn't afford to lose. We couldn't afford to lose 5 on a bounce, and I think we would have taken a draw, but. Yeah, it brings us now. It brings us now, doesn't it? Really, just outside the bottom 4, only a point. But it keeps our head above that. And at the moment, sometimes psychologically, keeping your head out of the bottom 4 means that the players can go in to train on Monday and have a positive week.
Yeah, I think also there's a lot about how the win was achieved. I think had we scored after say 10 minutes, I'm just throwing this out there. Scored against 10 minutes, and then the rest of the game played out exactly as it did on Saturday. I think the mood would be slightly different. I think the fact that we performed for the whole 90 and put a real shift in, and the crowd stayed with the team, and then we got the high at the very, very late, at the death. I do think that sort of changes the atmosphere around everything. It's not just the fact we won; it's the manner of that victory, the manner of the way the supporters were. I've heard a lot of people say about a raucous atmosphere at Kingsmeadow. I think that's embellishing because of the result. I think the crowd were more on side as opposed to overly encouraging. I don't know. It's very difficult. Sound doesn't appear to travel that well inside Kingsmeadow. It certainly doesn't travel well to the main stand from the Tempest end. And I felt during the first half, if I'm being honest with you, I was sat amongst 3,500 people that were distracted by something other than what was going on the pitch. But crucially, they weren't getting on the backs of the players.
No, I agree. And I think what was said during the week by Simon Bassey and players like that, I think did get received by the fans. And there was don't get me wrong, we weren't, wasn't singing and a carnival atmosphere by any stretch of imagination. It was a nervous atmosphere, I feel. I think we could recognise that Bristol Rovers are a decent setup. I think we always felt there was a threat they may score just because of the players they had. But I think the thing that was important was the fact that they continued to sing, and definitely the John Green stand and the Kenflo just continued to sing. It wasn't anything major, but some games have gone so quiet, haven't they, recently at Kingsmeadow? It just felt like there was a bit of atmosphere, and the goal. Don't get me wrong, I think we all cheered in relief. If I'm being honest with you, I hadn't got off my seat apart from half time. There wasn't really anything to really make me excited about anything apart from the goal. And in the day, all you can remember is the result. No one's going to look at the performance, and it's a result business, and that's what we did on Saturday. So much needed.
Were you a bit disappointed with Bristol Rovers? In a lot of respects, they're ideal opposition for teams like us. They're not playing for anything. And at this stage of the season, for me, that's the ideal opponent. I know some people say, well, the pressure's off, they can relax and what have you, but I also think you lose a little bit when your season's not tending to really go anywhere. Subconsciously, I think you drop off no matter what people say, no what managers say, whatever players say. I think it's impossible. I think as a Wimbledon fan that was brought up during the Premier League Selhurst Park days, I think I experienced that more often than not growing up, because Wimbledon would always be safe or get themselves safe relatively early, and then you'd get into the final 6-8 games and you knew you were going to lose at home to a Coventry that needed a win to stay up, or lose at home to a Southampton that needed a win to stay up. It just seemed to be
I think psychologically, I think I agree with you. I think sometimes it's like anything. You ever watch a friendly game and it's a friendly. No one's really pushing out for any result, and it's a fitness thing. And I think sometimes, you do get a bit safe. I think, to be honest with you, we were really nervous on Saturday. I think the pressure of not losing really told in some of our performances, and there was a few that were a little bit, if you fair, we brought Jonathan Meades back in, didn't we? Chuck him into centre midfield. He looked edgy. A couple of passes we spotted early on in the first half where really what a pass going forward, he was trying to play sideways, and in the end he got Deji in trouble for one of them. So I think we were a little bit apprehensive. But you're right. If that game had been, for argument's sake, I'll take Fleetwood every day of the week at the moment, but if that had been a team pushing for something like a Wigan, Blackburn, which we've got Tuesday coming up, I think we'd have been put under a bit more pressure and the game with a bit more of a tempo.
What did you make of Jonathan Meades' performance overall? Because I've heard conflicting, contrasting reports. I think he, like you just said there, started off very nervous. It was apparent that he didn't want to make a mistake, and then that's always the way. When you're so nervous of making a mistake, you will always make a mistake. I think he grew into the game, though, by the end of it.
He did. Do you know what? He can play in there, and I think, we've said many times before that I thought Jonathan Meades was one of our best left-backs last year in the league. I didn't see many better. This year, injuries, etc., and stuff like that, he hasn't looked as good defensively. And in a way, that sort of midfield defensive role in a free leaves us a lot less vulnerable when he's a left back. I'm being honest with you, and he can pass the ball. He's very good at retaining possession and shielding the ball. And do you know what? It wasn't his best performance, but I think you're right. He grew into it. I think anything we have to look at now is that a position we're going to play for him? Or was it just to rest sores? Because Jonathan Meades is very quickly becoming now a utility player just as much as George Frankham is, isn't it? And I'd rather, whereas George Frankham, I don't mind that so much. I think George, if I'm being honest with you, I think he's a squad player now and can fit in when we have injuries. But Jonathan Mings is a lot better quality-wise, and I don't really want him just being a team player. I want him to nail down a position, to be truthful.
Here's a question for you. Have reports of Barry Fuller's demise been greatly exaggerated?
He's looked better in a 3-5-2. There's no doubt about that. We said all along last year, we said all along beginning of the season, his biggest problem was if he got isolated out wide by a winger and one-on-one and people running in behind him. The 3-5-2 actually suits him perfectly because realistically he doesn't get pulled out of position. His positioning has always been very good. So, if you think about when he plays right back, he always gets into the box and covers over if the ball's on the far side. He'll always get in the box and cover and cover round and does very good that way. I think the formation has helped him. I don't think if we played a 4-4-2, would I want to see Barry Fuller playing right back. But in a 3-5-2, yeah, I think he's been very good.
I had my question all lined up. Now I've forgotten it. This is what happens when you don't script it.
It's just old age, isn't it?
I was thinking too far ahead. I was thinking yes, but
I threw you by supporting Barry Fuller, didn't I?
Hey, do you know what? I would agree with you wholeheartedly on that one with Barry Fuller. God love him. I was just, what I was going to think about was we were talking, weren't we, about the trying to get a bit of a link between ourselves and the playing staff, and I still stand by the fact that there is still that distance there. It's still maintained there. I just think Barry Fuller is an example of someone that I think the crowd warms to. But he's been here for quite a long time. He's our captain. You'd expect him to do that. You think it was a bit of a missed opportunity on Saturday? It was a point raised by Ray Armfield after the game to us on Facebook Live. He thought, we have been very, very patient. As he mentioned, Stuart McCall at Bradford gone after a short, bad spell. Uwe Rosler at Fleetwood after a bad spell's gone. And we don't really turn against the team or get on their backs really at Kingsmeadow at all, really. There's no booing or anything like that. It was a missed opportunity to get some of the players in amongst the fans after the game on Saturday when everyone was on a high. It was a good atmosphere to do so. We noticed upon leaving about 5:30, I think, on Saturday, a number of players had already showered, changed, and they were gone.
Yeah, obviously, Jimmy was in the bar, and also George Long was in there also. But I think he's always in there, to be honest with you. I think he loves it in there. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind that, because if George Long loves it in the middle bar and mixed with the fans, then you never know if he becomes available. I'm hearing very much that he's loving life in London at the moment. So, hey, we might be able to attract him. You never know. I think if he becomes available from Sheffield United, though, he won't be short of offers, put it that way. But
everything you just said there could be easily misconstrued. You are talking about the fact that we're going to try and attract him to sign a new contract.
Yes.
Or sign a contract.
Yeah.
A full-time contract with us.
Yeah, like I say, I'm hearing he's loving life in London. Who wouldn't? Even though he stayed, if he's staying in Kingston, then I don't know why he's loving life. But hey,
Hey, look, around here, seriously, get out of Norbiton, and it's got to be one of the nicer places, surely.
Yeah, just get out of Norbiton. But yeah, he's always in a bar. I see pictures of Lyle Taylor with some of the drunken few in the bar. So I think Lyle never goes home, to be fair. Lyle stays until last person's kicked out, which is what he normally Lyle. Yeah, you're right. It could have been. I still think at the moment they're on edge. It's one game. It's only one win. Let's be honest. It's one win. We're only 1 point out of the bottom four. I suppose how they're looking at it is football. A week of football is a long time. Neil Ardie goes back to January being a great season, a great month, and then all of a sudden 10 days, we lost 4 to bounce, and everyone's forgotten. So maybe they're just still really apprehensive, and you might get that bonding and maybe players joining in and stuff as we become safe. I don't know what the plans are for next. I don't obviously what the plans are for the end of year stuff, because last year was quite good, wasn't it, with the marquee and stuff like that. I think that went down well, didn't it, last year?
Yes, but your phrasing of "went down well" there makes me think there's probably a reason why nothing's been set in stone.
Yeah. But I think we need to do something. We need to do something, because we can't just, I'm hopeful we'll stay up. I have been. Saturday makes me feel a lot more confident. But again, we've still got 13 games to go, and anything can happen. It would be nice to finish the season off and have a little bit of some sort of celebration if we stay up. God forbid we go down, we'll all be going home with our thoughts for next season.
There was just one moan to go on top of that, which was the programme.
Programme? You weren't too impressed with this, were you?
No. I think it's a decision that's taken, in fairness, I think it's taken a little bit in advance. And it's not the first time, of course, that Neil Ardley has not done programme notes. There is a theory that rotating them sometimes, giving them to Simon Bassey, Neil Cox, Ashley Bayes, whoever it might be, on occasion, just breaks up what can be, I suppose there is a danger in previous seasons of Neil Ardley just ending up repeating himself. And I think that is safe to say he will have done that over preceding seasons, especially in those few League Two years where we did nothing of note at all, really, did we? Let's be honest. And that makes sense. I think in the situation we're in this season, I think it's a big mistake for him not to be speaking to the fans in the programme. I think fans were very, very upset following the Plymouth defeat going into the game, and they wanted to hear from the manager. I know people point to iFollow and YouTube and things like that. Not every single fan that goes to watch us watches the stuff online for a variety of reasons. I think you try and get the message out in as many different ways as possible to attract as big an audience as possible. And there is a big, big audience for the programme. And I think, actually, the more time goes on, I think I wouldn't say not the target audience as such, but certainly the market for the programme and the market for the online stuff, I think they're two very distinct groups.
Yeah, Joe, I don't intend to buy the programme too much, I'll be honest. Hey, look, I've got loads of football programmes going back over 20, 30 years from my early days, but then back in 20 years ago, the programme was priceless because that's how you read about things, because you didn't have internet and, you're seeing information by pigeons and stuff like that. And nowadays, social media and stuff like that, I sometimes find the stuff in the programme is a little bit dated. I've sort of already know that, and do you get what I mean? I look at the pictures and think, well, I've seen those pictures. And I wonder now, actually, in years to come, is a programme going to continue in its current state, or do we go to online matchday programmes with feature videos and interviews and in a social? I suppose the kids of today, and it'd be interesting to see whether if we did in marketing this, but how many kids, for argument's sake, under 16 buy a programme or read a programme?
How many kids under 16?
Yeah, but they're kids, aren't they, under 16? Of course they are. So how many kids? I don't know. I can't believe. I think the target market is older. I think you're right.
No, definitely. I think without doubt.
I've said before, I think our programme isn't up to the quality of other programmes that I've seen in League One. And I say that just because, not because of, I think the programme's well produced and stuff like that. I just feel the content, there's a lot of other things that I would rather read in there. And I agree with you, the sports scientist did nothing. To me, that should just been a feature or some sort of a story, but not replacing the manager's notes. I don't think that was the right time. And I sort of agree with you.
And with that said, I just want to say, I think there'll always be a programme, by the way, but just maybe in a very slimmed down form as to what we get now, purely for the memento part of it. But that's another conversation for another day. 3-word reports, let's get these out of the way for Saturday then. I'm scrolling through Twitter now. I've done it using the hashtag Dom's 3-word report. So if you didn't use the hashtag and you came up with the best 3-word report ever, we'll never know because I can't find it on Twitter right now. So there's a lesson there to some people, I'm sure. All these are good, Stu, to be honest with you. Let's start with Luke Powell at TRD_Powell. He went for Who Needs Ladapo? Now, I'm going to sound very geeky here. I'm not really a Doctor Who person, but I think Ladapo was like a baddie of some sort in Doctor Who, possibly.
I'll take your word for it.
Small, tiny little white creature thing. Anyway. Will GJ at Willy the Womble. Never not going to make me laugh. There was a Willy in the Womble this week, but we'll get onto that story later. Oh. Pigs Might Fly.
Sorry, I'm watching football as recorded. I do apologise. What chance that was.
I thought you were reacting to my slight at my older brother there.
No, I just watched a game on a box as we record, and I suppose if I give the game away, then people know we're recorded. But Yeah. Oh, dear, missed an open goal there. Sorry.
You might as well tell me now because
I'm watching a Derby League game, and Derby hit the crossbar, and Kevin Nugent was a little bit on his toes, and didn't get the ball quick enough. But yeah, good game. I like Leeds to win either way as well.
Yellow and blue.
Yeah.
And finally, let's go for one more Dom 3 report. You do one. Feed the Pig. Michael Elston at Elston, Michael Elston at Elston 19139, which I hope isn't some sort of password or PIN code for you, Michael. But yes, Feed the Pig. Nice and simple. I would normally, we haven't done for a couple of weeks, but we normally go through results and highlights of results elsewhere from the week. But Stuart, I wonder if this just instead links us straight onto your main feature, which you've worked very hard on this week, because I've done less than Leon Trotter does in an average week, to be honest with you.
Leave Trots alone.
Leave Trots alone, yes. No one wants the Trots. Say no to Trots. Just a quick one on Leon Trotter, actually, as his name's come up there. I think we've gone the other way with him now. Some people have gone the other way with him now and are overcompensating, or not overcompensating, but going overboard with their praise of him.
Yeah,
I saw somebody refer to him as driving the team forward on Saturday, to which that's rubbish. He didn't. Frankly, that's not true.
I think we're now starting to see a little bit of the qualities that he has. I think the thing with Joe, if someone's limited ability, then you sort of live with it a little bit. I think Trotter got the agree, because I think people could tell that he had quality, and his football CV suggests he does, because he's played a lot of his football in the Championship and hasn't played much in League One. But I think we were just frustrated because we felt that he probably was on decent salary because of the CV he's got, but we weren't really seeing it. So I think now we're starting to see a little bit. I still think we need to see it in bigger patches, and I think more consistency. There's no doubt that he's played well in January, and I thought he played well again in the second half against Bristol Rovers. But consistency now, that's what we need from him. But you're right, I think people have gone the other way a little bit. I've always loved Trotter, so there's not been a major problem with that at all. I've never had a bad word to say about him.
That's not true, is it?
No, I've always been very fair with him and said I think he plays at 70%, especially very early on. I felt he played at 70% capacity and needed that little bit of a push, and we needed to find that extra push. Or was it a case he needed to be, in the word of, give a bit of a rollicking, or did he need an arm around the shoulder? Whatever's happened recently as something's worked, but I think now we're probably seeing about 9% capacity now. There's still a bit more to see. I think he's got a lot of good qualities, maybe some people are getting a little bit the other way, but George Franklin, like I say, must be hoping that Trotter don't get too good, otherwise he's going to start going back to being the what they call him, the pantomime villain.
Yes. £4,000 a week. This rumour, it just doesn't go away.
£4,000 a week? What, your salary for him?
It could be true. There's a lot of smoke. You know what they say about smoke and fire? It keeps on coming up, this rumour, but I just cannot believe for one moment that Leon Trotter is taking home, what would that be? £208,000 a year on that salary?
Well, to be honest with you, see the size of his car, he probably needs that to fill a tank of petrol up.
Yeah, it's not the size of the car, though, is it?
Joe, I don't for 1 minute believe £4,000. Not that we're privy to salaries. Of course, you hear rumours, as you naturally do, but I would doubt he's on half of that, if I'm being honest with you. But I don't think we were paid out for one player. If we have, then that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the only salary we know for real is that Ivor's taking home £500,000 a month from FC Wimbledon. True story.
Cool. Well, he needs to now with a company, with Lady Wimbledon and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? He needs that to probably mix with those people who are always in the village, aren't they?
If that's the sort of money that you need to socialise with Lady Wimbledon, I am worried for the future of mankind. Sorry, Justin Trudeau.
I can't believe
humankind.
I can't believe Lady Wimbledon's found a way on our podcast. Damn you, Stu. Why did you mention her name?
Stop going on about Lady Wimbledon, Stu. You're never going to meet her.
Well, all you've got to do is hang around in Wimbledon, yeah. She'd go to the opening of a fridge, wouldn't she?
Wow, it's just getting... Wow, you have actually buried her. You actually totally just buried her.
Oh dear, that'd go. Did we request her as a couple of Facebook Live one time, didn't we?
Somebody did. Somebody did, yes.
Bang goes that.
Moving swiftly on. Right, so you've been doing a lot of research because we're coming into the final straight now of the season. What, 13 games to go?
Yes, for some. Unless you're Rochdale.
Unless you're Rochdale or Wigan. By the way, I'm still on a massive high for Wigan the other night, by the way. I was so happy. Without doubt, Heroes of the Week by a million miles. Best result ever.
See, I didn't watch it. Do you know what? Yeah, I've been saying to people at work, people going, oh, Wigan, they don't. If any team was going to beat a Man City, it had to be someone on form. No, I agree. Championship. It'd be a Championship club you expect, not a League One club. But Wigan have a very decent squad, don't they? Do you know what? I just don't like Wigan. Paul Cook annoys me. I thought they're probably the worst team I've seen come down to Kings Meadow in terms of having any class. Being us 4-0 and goading the fans and all that sort of stuff. So then I wasn't surprised that all the trouble followed them with all the with Paul Cook having a go at Guardiola. That'd been quite interesting. Could you imagine being a flying wall for that, a Scouse against a Spanish person? A Spanish speaking. You can imagine.
Spaniard?
Well, you can imagine they're both having a go at each other and not have a clue what anyone's saying to each other.
Very true.
But I don't know. Do you know what I mean? We weren't really fond of Wigan when we come down to our place. And the funny thing was, Peter Reid was the person that was putting Paul Cook away from Guardiola. When 30 years ago, Peter Reid was the first person having a go at Guardiola.
Well, this is very true. So, I mean, I get the argument. I think if Wigan were playing Milton Keynes, you'd want Wigan to win
every time.
So I put Man City, and not honestly at the moment, I'm not far off Milton Keynes in my view. To be honest with you, I really cannot stand them.
But is that because they're doing what every team is so good at they are the best team in probably Europe at the moment. I'd argue that they're going to do very well in the Champions League. Isn't it the case though? If you remember the Manchester United of the day, and
but if I could sum up my feelings on Manchester City, when Pep Guardiola is getting praised for this, admitting his mistake with his goalkeeper last year. It's very easy to admit a mistake, having spent £30 million on a goalkeeper, then at the end of the season going, I've made a mistake, and going to spend £40 million on his replacement. It's a fairly simple and straightforward thing to do, I think. I think it's just lots of things. Well, do you remember I had a bit of a rant about this a few weeks ago, but we lost it to technical difficulties? Mm-hmm. All of those feelings still remain for me. Just so much hint of arrogance and wanting things your own way, and it doesn't always work like that.
I agree. The only thing I would say about Wigan is they're going to be in for some interesting conversations with the authorities over their fans invading the pitch, because that wasn't too good. I don't understand how all the fans got on, managed to surround the players, managed to go with the Man City fans. Although I imagine most of them Wigan fans were Man United fans anyway.
Probably more like it, yeah.
But I just found I'm surprised how that all was allowed to happen. And but you know what? No, they're saying it's one of the biggest shocks in recent years. I don't know. I think we're going to spend an awful lot of money in this league. Do you know what I mean? So I still class them as a championship. I still class them as a championship.
It's a huge shock. Man City used to lose any game at the moment.
True, but from what it looked like, it was just attack after attack, wasn't it? And in the end, there was a tweet, wasn't there, saying some Man City fans saying that we had 29 shots and 80% of possession, so it wasn't that much of a big deal Wigan's winning. Well, it was. They had very limited, and they just took their chance from arguably one of the best strikers in League One. How Will Griggs playing at League One level is beyond me. Maybe because Wigan are paying quite a bit of money.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
Indeed they are. But speaking of Wigan, they are another team, that have got lots and lots of games to catch up on because of this FA Cup run, like Rochdale, but Rochdale are probably of more interest to us right now, aren't they? So you've been looking at, what have you been looking at? The run-ins and also past form to try and figure out where everyone in the relegation zone might end up come, what is it, May the 5th, is it?
May the 5th. Season? Yes, there's loads of, if you go on websites, there's loads of places you can go to. I've obviously, because I like to provide a stat, because we have a manager who loves a stat as well, I thought we'd try and find the best stats available. And I found, what I come across the other day was a site that basically done points per game on the season, but also the last 8 games, which I think is always a good way of looking at it, because form is quite important as any time, isn't it? So what I'd done was I looked at the current league table and then looked at what the league table would be if the points per game continued from now until the end of the season. So it's if it comes in well, then I should have used it and put a bet on it. But yeah, what we also done was looked at the remaining games. So Rochdale's still about half a season to play, it feels. But yeah, so if we start from the bottom, so Rochdale, when we looked at their fixtures,
started from the bottom. Now we're here. Sorry.
So when we looked at Rochdale, the most interesting thing about Rochdale is they still have to play 5 of the bottom 8 teams in the league. 4 of them at home, and then Bury they play away. So obviously they're playing as we speak. So of course we're recording on Wednesday night. So we're hoping that Rochdale is half time at the moment. So at the moment they're drawing, but yeah, hopefully franchise. Yeah, I'm going to call it franchise. I'm going to call them Milton Keynes.
Call them what you like.
There's many things I want to call them. But I think what it says basically is they have lots of games to play. So I did put somewhere along all my stats of how many remaining games they have, and they've still got 18 games to play.
No, give over.
18. They played 25 games.
What? No.
Yes.
That would mean they've got. Well, that would mean they've still got 21 to play. That can't be right.
And that means I haven't added up one. Oh, we've got a continuing theme with this, haven't we?
Wow.
1 second. They played 25 league games.
No way they have. No.
No way they haven't.
They played 29. No, tonight is their 29th.
Where did I get 25 from?
No.
That worries me. Okay. So they have played 29 games.
Yeah, they're on their 29th game. 29th game is tonight.
Do you know what? Let's not even bother looking at my stat. Now, 1 second. So I'm being a div. Ignore me.
I think you've just added something.
No, ignore me. That's their points. I'm being a div.
Brilliant.
They have 25.
Yes. From 28 games, they have 25 points, yeah.
25 points at the moment. So at the moment this is their 29th game. So it basically means they have, what is it, 46 game season, isn't it? So they have, 17 games. No, not 17 games.
Yeah,
17 games.
After the franchise game.
See, I was right. See, it was 18 games.
I know, that's mad. I thought they'd at least played 30 at least.
You got me doubting my own stats.
I'm very sorry.
That's right.
When you said, I think you originally said 18 games left to play, and I thought they can't. Everyone must have played at least 30 games, but no, they still haven't hit 30 games yet.
Yeah.
They're in huge trouble. They're going down.
So I was right, thank you. I just didn't realise they played. So they got 25 points at the moment. So realistically, the maximum amount of points, based on the fact that their points per game at the moment is 0.63, it would only give them 11.5 points. It wouldn't get them off the bottom of the table. So their form has drastically got to improve massively. But they play all the teams around them. So you could argue that they're obviously their fate is in their own hands. So the problem they're going to have is they're going to be playing Saturday, Tuesday. Do they have the squad big enough to do that? If I was a betting man, I would say, they're the team that's going to be relegated. But they do have a lot of games against the people around them. So if they win those 6-pointers, they could drastically drag people down with them, which would be good, because there's a certain team that we'd love to be dragged down with them, wasn't it?
Fleetwood, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to go through all the fixtures. Obviously, Bury, very much. They've got a mixed game. They've got mid-table, top of the leagues, that sort of stuff. The interesting thing is when you look at the fixtures of the team from Buckinghamshire. So
sorry, I'm just wondering. Are you eating like Werther's Originals or something in a minute?
No, that's my wife who's getting into her cake.
I see. I wonder.
Yes.
Some of you are unwrapping like toffees or something.
No. So my wife at the moment is 6 months pregnant. So she's gone through the stage now of she must have a cake after every meal in the evening.
I'm like that.
Yes. So yeah.
Not a Victoria sponge though, because that's not a dessert.
No, it's a Belgian bun. Yes, so that was her trying to discreetly get into a wrapper, which actually, to be honest with you, didn't even. She might as well just open it up as loud as she could. Yes. So anyway, so the team from Buckinghamshire, I loved it. Do you know what? I love the fact that we were 7 points above them. That gave me great satisfaction. They were struggling, but when you look at their fixtures, it's even better. So they still have to play Bury at home. in front of 2 fans and go Rochdale, which is tonight. But the great news is they still have to play. They still have to travel to Shrewsbury. Still have to travel to Wigan, and then they entertain in their empty bowl Blackburn, Rotherham, and Scunthorpe. So they still got to play the top 5 teams.
Ooh, do you know what though? That sounds worryingly similar to our fixture list.
Yeah, we've got 7 points above them.
Well, true.
Or 6, or hopefully still 7 tonight. But yeah, if you look at fixtures, one of the interesting fixtures, it comes up this weekend when they travel to Fleetwood. There's some Fleetwood are in terrible trouble. It was only when you dig down stat-wise with Fleetwood you realise how bad Fleetwood have been. So let's look at these for stats, right? So Ross was sacked after 6 consecutive defeats. They've not won a home game for 9 games.
Wow.
They've lost. Yeah, they've lost the last 7 consecutive at home, and no wins in the last 2 away games. Their home form is unbelievably bad. So not one in 9 home games, consecutive home games. No wonder Rosa got a sack. But from all accounts, obviously he lost Cole, didn't he, in the window, and there was a player that went. I was watching a game on TV the other night. Blackburn. They lost one of their players to Blackburn as well. But yeah. I did call it though. I did say Fleetwood would struggle this season. I know I did say it on Facebook Live. But I did call it.
You did. I think I'm looking at the league table now. I think they got a goal back on Tuesday night. They lost at home to Portsmouth. Is that right?
Yes. And
I think they got a goal back. At 2-0 down, they made it 2-1, and that goal is actually keeping them out of the bottom 4 at the moment on goal difference. Oldham have actually scored more goals than them this season, so I mean that tells its own story as well, doesn't it? I mean, how many goals have we scored? Okay, they're not as bad as us, but still.
I think if I'm looking at any team at the moment to replace, so if you look at the teams at the bottom, I think Oldham probably one that could come out of there possibly. Although if Fleetwood dropped in there, they haven't. No, they haven't, have they?
No goal difference.
If I was a betting man now, and you said to me, who would you put in the bottom 4? I would put Fleetwood in the bottom 4. I think I don't see a manager coming in there and doing enough to change it. Their fixtures are very much. They still come to our place on the 3rd of March. I can't wait for that. I think that'd be a cracking game to have. But they still got to go to Walsall, still got to go to Northampton, still go to Milton Keynes. That'd be a cracker. Still home to Wigan, home to Plymouth. No one wants to play Plymouth at the moment. Away to Rotherham. Their fixtures are not good fixtures. So I think they're in quite a lot of trouble. But yeah, so that's basically what I looked through. Obviously, we've got our fixtures. And what I've basically done on the current points per game over the last 8, the league table would basically finish with Rochdale bottom on 36 points. Milton Keynes second from bottom on 37. Hip hip hooray. Bury and Fleetwood would finish on 41 points, which would relegate them. And I've got Oldham being safe by about 7 points from Fleetwood. So
the team that finishes 20th, one place above the relegation zone, what's their points tally?
Well, so I've got Oldham finishing on 49 and Fleetwood finishing on 41.
Wow, so 42 points keeps you up.
That would be on the points per game.
Right, yeah.
That would be.
Over the
if you look at the points per game at the moment, so Rochdale got 0.63 points over the last 8 games. Milton Keynes 0.5. Bury 1.13 points per game over the last 8. Fleetwood 0.38 points per game. Yeah, so you can see why Rosa got a sack.
Oldham, that's the same percentage that their stadium's full every week as
well. Oldham are averaging a point per game. We're averaging 1.25 points per game. So it would mean we'll pick up probably about another 16 points, which will see us at about 53 points. So, yeah.
So we're not looking at anyone above us currently in the table to fall into any further trouble. So Blackpool and Walsall, who have been a bit dodgy of late. I've just realised Walsall are in the same points as Oxford. So, I mean, Doncaster, but wow. So you could argue that Doncaster up in 14th. They're 6 points outside trouble now. They've played more games. No one's played more games than them in the league so far this season. So, but we're not thinking they're going to fall into any trouble.
No, I went up to 17th. So I also looked at the teams. I just don't. I feel like teams like Walsall got too much to keep. Doncaster, I didn't feel any of those teams, so I went as far as 17, which sort of brings Blackpool amongst it. It sort of brings Northampton amongst it as well, but again, their point tally over the last 8 games is 1.75. So the bottom 8 teams, their points per game is quite decent. But I think it shows you why they're saying that 50 points is the target, because on my calculations, based on a very simple formula, 49 points would keep holding them up. So you can see why we're thinking 50 points should be enough, which for us now is we probably know 5 wins now, probably just to make sure. I think we're sitting reasonably safe. I think what I like about the fact is we've got 3 home games on a bounce, which I think are priceless for us. We've got Blackburn on a midweek, and then we've got Oxford and Charlton, isn't it, I believe. If we can come out with that with 6-7 points, then
that's a big ask, isn't it?
Oxford at the moment, I don't think it's a massive ask.
I think that's almost winnable of those.
Yeah, Blackburn. Do you know what? Under the lights, coming down to our place, I fancy us against Blackburn. I really do. I fancy us to win. Yeah, do you know what? The midweek games I love at Kingsmeadow, and I think Blackburn still got that culture shock to come to our place. I know they've travelled to some small grounds, but our place is a bit of a different. We travel to a lot of League One grounds, the smaller League One grounds. But at Kingsmeadow on a Tuesday night, it's going to be cold. If we do well, the game stays on based on the weather coming in apparently over next week. I just think we get amongst them. I really do. Maybe I've been easily pleased by the win on Saturday and, living a little bit of cuckoo land. But I think we'll beat Blackburn. Oxford all depends if apparently the rumour that Craig Bellamy's going to step into the manager's hot seat. Depends if they get that lift. I think Bellamy could be decent. He's doing well at Cardiff at the moment, and they're under their academy. And in Charlton, that'd be great if we got 3 points, and that sort of edged us close to safety, wouldn't it? After playing against them and their scouts manager.
Well, yeah, it's the next best thing, really, isn't it? Not the best thing, you know what I mean? But you want to beat Milton Keynes. If you can't beat Milton Keynes like we failed to this season. We already knocked Charlton out of the FA Cup. Let's give Carl Robinson another bloody nose.
Yeah.
But I'm quite happy to see Plymouth getting a playoff place above Charlton, to be honest.
Definitely. I mean, you just have to say that I think Milton Keynes' selection for their manager to replace the one they sacked has been great. It's been inspirational, Nick.
It really bugs me that he so reminds me of someone. I just can't put my finger on it. It's bugging the life out of me. Like I can see him like a sitcom character or a comedian.
Is that Stavros?
She said, I don't know.
Reminds me like a Harry Enfield character.
There's something about it. Is kind of like that.
It is.
It is.
He inspires no confidence. He's got a great record. Is he like 5 games and no wins or anything like that?
Yeah, they've lost their last 5. Yeah,
it's brilliant. It's great news. I personally think they should extend his contract for next season in League 2. I'll be any team. If you're looking at their points. And say any other team bar them, and you look at their points, you probably would say they're gone. They're gone out of the window and age. You know what I mean? But because it's them, I'm so desperate for them to go down to League 2. Not that it makes what we've done any better, but just for gloating purposes, it would just be so much more fun. And we wouldn't have to go there again, would we?
We'd get them in a cup, no doubt.
Yeah, true. But we've said year on year their budget's been falling. Their squad is very thin, and finally the locals who go there on the odd time they get a free ticket, starting to see that. So yeah, well done to their manager, and let's hope he gets his contract renewed.
It's falling apart like a poorly produced piece of IKEA flat pack furniture.
Yes, which I've got quite a lot of IKEA stuff at the moment, unfortunately. But yes, but yeah, so that's my prediction. So Rochdale, Milton Keynes, Bury, and Fleetwood to be relegated, and we're finishing 18th spot, well away from the bottom 4, which would be nice, wouldn't
it? Wouldn't it just? My only reservation about that, I think, is I know we mentioned Oxford. Yes, Oxford's a great fixture to have at home. Like I mentioned, Bristol Rovers type mid-table, not really playing for anything. Ideal sort of fixture. Fleetwood at home, great. That's a nice one still to come as well. But as you say, we've got that big game away at Rochdale, Doncaster away, Wigan away, Scunthorpe still to come.
Yeah. So what
Tough
about
games? Shrewsbury away.
Yeah, our biggest thing is, we've still got to go to Shrewsbury, we've still got to go to Wigan. Let's hope Wigan are up by then. They just, or in the semi-finals or the FA Cup or whatever. Let's hope they just, there's something that's putting them off playing us. But yes, Blackburn at home, I'm reasonably confident with that to a certain extent. Charlton at home, yeah, we've done well against them already this season. If you think so, we've then got Peterborough this weekend. We've got Doncaster away, Oxford at home, as you said, also away, which is difficult to gauge. The last time I went there was the first game of the season, and yeah, it felt a bit surreal, didn't it? Really. So I hope we'll do better this time. But the games against the teams down the bottom are massive for us. We've got Fleetwood at home, Oldham at home, Bury at home, and we've still got travel to Rochdale. I think the big thing is we can't really be affording to go to the last few weeks of the season where we then have to get points against Oldham, and we don't really want to be playing and having to get points against Bury for the last game of the season. I don't really want it to go that far.
Should we have a go of Abdou?
Of course, I'm sure I'll be just as bad as I was last week.
You weren't bad last week. Didn't you get it after Did you get it in the end? Maybe you didn't. I can't remember.
No,
you needed the anagram. I can't remember if you got the anagram.
I needed the anagram in the end, didn't I? Yes, I did. Got the anagram in the end. And I still can't remember who it was now. A week's a long time in football.
Old age for you, Stu.
Yeah.
Last week it was Andy Frampton.
That's it. I got it after the anagram.
I wonder. I've got 2 anagrams this week, just in case.
Cool. I'm not even rubbish at anagrams anyway, but that was quite an easy one.
Well, yes. I wonder if you'll get this, because I think this cryptic clue is one of the easiest we've had.
Oh no!
For our fans amongst the fan base, that's not a thing.
No.
Anyway, this player that Jimmy has gone to visit this week seems to suffer from a seasonal affliction.
What?
A seasonal affliction.
Oh. Got a clue what that means?
Okay. You know what? We have got fans in our fan base, like I say. They like to do the cryptic crossword. They like the Times.
Yeah.
Maybe the Guardian, although I wouldn't recommend reading that newspaper to anyone. They'll be quite happy with that clue.
Crosswords are not really my thing, really. Too much
Neither is this game, apparently.
Too much thinking.
Too much thinking.
I haven't got a clue.
Okay, right. Second clue then. This defender scored 8 goals in 165 appearances for Wimbledon. However, he was a loser in the 1988 Cup final.
Oh, you've given me now probably a choice of 1 in 2, haven't you?
Have I?
Defender. Unless you didn't make. Just give that question again. Or that not question. Clue. Sorry.
A defender who scored 8 goals in 165 appearances for Wimbledon, but was a loser in the 1988 Cup final.
That sounds too easy to me. You've done a trick in there somewhere. I'm trying to think of the second half of Wimbledon. God, this is doing boxing now. Andy Thorne was one, wasn't he?
He was.
Fair for Andy Thorne.
Okay. I did say loser in the 88 Cup final. But...
Oh, such a div. We won it, didn't we?
We did win. We did. Do you want the third clue?
Yeah, I'm now confused now. Yes, go for it, yeah.
Okay. Right, this player spent the last 20 years of his career in London, finishing up at Upton Park.
Wow. This sounded so easy when it got to the cup final thing. Lost in the 98 Cup. You've done well this time.
Thanks.
You've totally confused me.
Normally you get it by now.
Yeah, I know, I haven't got a clue. I'm confused. I'm confused with your clues now.
Okay.
Yes, I wish I'd wrote them down now.
Do you want the anagrams?
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck me saying these without... I'm not going to be able to keep a straight face. I have the sense of humour of a 12-year-old. Let's try anagram number 1. Lube intern ring.
What?
Please don't try and make... I can't
Lube intern ring.
I have bitten my tongue so hard there to not burst out laughing. Lube intern ring. Points out that our Danish intern has now departed.
Yeah, he probably got more chance of getting this than I have. No, I don't know.
Anagram?
Yeah, I'm never confused now what player I'm looking for. Or even who he plays for, or what year he's in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Next anagram, Blue Retiring Nun.
Blue.
BLEW.
No, put me out of my misery. I'm really confused now.
It is, okay, former Wimbledon FC defender that spent many years in London following us. Last played for West Ham. Might have also played for Arsenal. That help you?
No.
Really? Won the Player of the Year award at Wimbledon 3 years running?
I finished at West Ham.
Yeah, his last club was West Ham, yeah.
I missed someone going to West Ham.
He flinched from Paolo Di Canio famously whilst playing for Arsenal, I think.
No way.
Go on.
Can't be Nigel Winterburn. No way.
It is, yeah, it is Nigel Winterburn.
How do I get so confused then?
Because the 88 Cup final clue, which is brilliant, which is so good.
It's not good because it totally done me.
You know, I didn't.
I must admit, I forgot that he went to West Ham. I must admit, I always think he finished at the Arsenal because why would you leave Arsenal to go anywhere else? Do you know what I mean? But
yes,
yeah, that flinch of the Canio, I could just picture it now as well. It's
hilarious.
Cool. So yeah, this 1988 one that's done me big time.
Yeah, the League Cup final. He was a loser for Arsenal when they lost to. Who did they lose to in the Cup final? Who was it, Stuart?
Luton.
There we go. Of course it was. How can I forget that? What a year 1988 was. I mean, I was 6 years before I was born, but what a great year.
When Luton played in white rather than orange.
Yeah, they used to play in white, yeah.
God.
Well, they sort of flicked between the two, didn't they?
See, I knew it was a trick question, but I couldn't think of what the other cup final was that year. Yeah, as you now say, it's Arsenal. Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it? It makes you actually think as well. When you actually think about it, it makes you realise how good that cup semi-final win was against Luton Town. When you think about, obviously, they got to the final and then beat Arsenal as well that year. So it makes you, sometimes, you know, but you know, sometimes they beat Luton Town in the semi-finals. Yeah, but they were decent that year. Of course, Liverpool were one of the best teams in Europe at that time. But
isn't it funny though how some clubs seem inextricably linked? Like, it's no coincidence for me that the first time we got into the FA Cup third round as AFC Wimbledon, we were drawn out the hat against Liverpool. I mean, there's coincidences, and there's like, really? And then, you think about Luton Town, you think about the FA Cup semi-final, you think of the playoff final in the city of Manchester.
Yeah.
First team. We were the first team to go back to Kenilworth Road when they got back into the Football League.
They sort of stuck around. It's like a bad smell, aren't they?
There's lots of bad smells in Luton.
Especially Keys Meadow.
Yeah, I live just the other side of it, so I'm fully aware of that.
I think that's one thing my wife is going to be so happy when we move. Every home game, she moans it smells. And that's just sitting next to me.
I feel her pain.
Anyway.
Right. Well, very quickly, we've got Peterborough on the weekend. We spoke a lot about us really this week in the form and how we're going and things like that. So really running out of time as well. Just time for a prediction, to be honest with you, Stu.
Form table very much. They're 18th in the form table, believe it or not. So they haven't been doing too well recently. I think we will go there and pick up a 1-1 draw.
Very good. I actually think a draw as well. That was my prediction. So I'm going to stick with it. Now, and again, we've already mentioned the other game, the big game of the weekend, I think, in our division. You said Fleetwood, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the biggest one, easily.
But not in terms of numbers of fans, of course. It's probably the smallest in the history of football ever.
Yeah.
But in terms of the significance at the bottom of League One, massive game.
Yeah, I think it's a big game, and I suppose a draw would probably be the right result, really, wouldn't it, for us? At the moment, we don't really want anyone. Anyway, I think for our own safety, our safety has to come first. So for them not to get maximum points, even then would be the better thing, really. So a draw would be good then for everyone else to smash them after that.
Perfect. Well, I think that pretty much brings to an end this week's show. Unscripted, so I'm bound to have forgotten something massively important somewhere along the line, for which I do apologise. I will say that the ladies' team are actually again this weekend away at Haringey Borough, so not too far to travel if you fancy a trip to watch them. Check them out on Twitter for more details at AFC Wimbledon Ladies. They won 8-2 against Norwich, I believe, at the weekend.
8-2?
Yes,
that's right. Yeah, and the week before it was 12-2 against Haringey.
12-2, yes.
So goals galore. You want to go to the away game at Haringey?
I hate to tell you, Stu, that the ladies have not got any more home games left this season, as it stands. But
they haven't. No, I was speaking to the manager of the AFC Women's team on Saturday, actually, and they're just saying the way the fixtures worked. Unfortunately, it does mean they're away from home, but they basically got the points on the board. There are a few teams below them that have got games in hand and stuff like that. But as he said, all they can do is keep winning. And hopefully we will get promoted. And that league, they get promoted. There's loads of restructuring being done in the ladies' game over the season, but it will mean that we will move into a league roughly the same level, apparently. But again, it will be a very good feat for us to get there. And they're doing really well. They're doing really well on, if you think about some of the ladies teams that are chucking loads and loads of money, I think we're playing at a very decent standard, and again, ladies are doing very well, so well done.
Right, thank you for joining me this week, Stu.
No problem.
Thank you very much for listening. Twitter at 9Wires Podcast from updates from Peterborough at the weekend and Blackburn on Tuesday night at Kings Meadow. Facebook Live will be in action, I think, for both games as it stands at the moment. So check us out, facebook.com/9YRS podcast. Unfortunately, I'm not going to Peterborough, Stu, because I'm doing what Charles Koppel always said I would, and that is I'm off to Fulham on the weekend. So
we have the mighty Wolves at home.
Yeah, Wolves at home. So it's a massive game for what tends to be an annual trip. I tend to go once a season, don't I? Take my dad to Fulham once a season. So I think we picked a good one this year.
Fulham are the form team at the moment, so they're the team that I would think will get into the playoffs easy.
I would also say, if you're not going to Peterborough and you're sort of at home on Saturday and you have Sky, that's a great pick for TV. You know what BT have chosen for their Premier League game kicking off at the same time, 5:30 on Saturday?
Bury versus Watford.
No.
Bury?
It is Watford.
Burnley versus
Everton,
Watford.
Everton versus Watford.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
Who wants to watch that? Nobody. That's a shocking decision. Watch Fulham instead.
I would do, but I'll be going out.
Now, where are you off to?
I'm off to the cinema.
To see what?
The Greatest Showman.
Oh, okay, great. That's a good choice.
Yeah, I hear it's a very good film.
It's a very good film. So I applaud that choice. So neither of us going to Peterborough. So next week's podcast will all be about the Blackburn game, because we won't have a clue what's happened at London Road, which ironically is not in London. And on that note, please join us again. Thank you for joining us this week. Please join us again for next week's show. We'll be joined by, I think we're going to be joined by Jessie from Little Mix, something about cultural appropriation, but it's all absolute nonsense. Bag first, milk last. Alexa Bliss. Speak to you again next week.
If you ain't wasted.